So we're past the levels of being now, and now he's discussing a new topic, and this is called Adequatio, something like that. I guess I don't know if it's a Latin term or something he made up, but it's called Adequatio, and it means adequateness. And what he says, and he's quoting Plotinus, who was a Roman, and Plotinus said that knowing demands the organ fitted to the object. And what that means, so this is kind of epistemology, that we must have a tool to be able to see or detect the object we're looking for. Okay, so to see the world, to see it, we need eyes. To hear, we need ears. Okay, to touch or to feel the texture of something, we need hands or whatever. To detect X-rays, we need X-ray machines, or X-ray detectors, right? Because X-rays are out of the visible spectrum. Our eyes only see a part of the light spectrum, of the energy spectrum. And so to see UV, for example, or to see infrared, to see X-ray, etc., gamma rays, or even radio waves, we need a certain detector. We lack the organ to detect radio waves, but our radio has the organ. And if somehow we could implant a radio chip in our brains and connect it somehow to our brain, then we can then detect radio, right, waves. Whereas as we are right now, we cannot detect them. And what his argument is that we cannot, and I'll quote this is on page 41, this is his essential argument. We are not entitled to insist that something inaccessible to us has no existence at all and is nothing but a phantom of other people's imagination. So this is his argument for God, right, for religion. That he says that he would say that some people have it, and some people have the argument to believe that God must exist. But we cannot simply say that because we cannot see something or detect it that it doesn't exist. And he says here that on the same page, he says, in these cases, sense data are the same. The facts given to the eye are identical. Not the eye, only the mind can determine the grade of significance. And he kind of goes into this idea that facts and theories and our interpretations and perceptions are not quite distinct. There's not a fine line there. That how we see something is always under interpretation. And he gives the example of seeing a full moon just above the horizon and essentially seeing the size of the moon simply from our position. The moon does not look that big, but it is very big. And so we need more than just our organ of sight to interpret the data and to understand what actually is there. And of course, he's going to use that argument to say that we also need to interpret kind of our existence and our position to know that there must be something behind all this, right? So this is his religious argument. And he makes a distinction. He brings back the four levels again just for a second. So he says that, and I did mention this in a different audio stream, the rarity, right? So mineral or matter is ubiquitous. Life is pretty rare. Consciousness is even more rare. Self-awareness even more rare. But he also says that the abilities of people are also the same respect. There's tons of people that can count. There's few people who can write, fewer people that can write. There's even fewer people that can think and read, and even fewer that can write books and engage in argumentation and all of that. And he also mentions on 44, and this is, I think, a crucial point, is that there is nothing more difficult than to become critically aware of the presuppositions of one's thought. There's no doubt that is a very difficult idea, a very difficult skill, because a lot of people think that they're right and they think that their experience makes them wise, but it's simply not true. What makes you wise is understanding where your ideas come from and what they hinge on, what they depend on. And that goes back again to that Socrates idea of the ignorance. But ignorance doesn't mean that you're dumb or you don't know anything. It just means that you are aware of what your ideas depend on, and you're always looking to question those things, and you're always looking to build and to get feedback and to think about things, and you're not kind of ever seated into some ideas, and you're kind of always looking for the superior position. And he says that skill of questioning your assumptions, questioning your tools That is a very rare phenomenon, even among human beings. And the author says that, in fact, this is the power that makes man human and also capable of transcending his humanity. This is a very important point. What he's saying is that we are not, unlike most of the universe, man has the capacity to not be locked into his nature, and that if we can question our beliefs and our assumptions and ideas and our instincts and the cause and effect stuff, and we can read books like these maybe, we can do something more than what we are destined to do. And that's, again, that brings back that Latin capacis universality, or whatever it was, is that we mean that we have it seems like we have an infinite capacity, because we can think outside of the tools in the box in which we are born. And again, that's why he questions that materialism from science. It's because the materialistic science believes that there is nothing higher than man, and man is simply a complicated animal. And in a sense, then, that the materialistic science limits man. He says, oh no, you have limits, and that's as far as you're going to go. He's questioning those things, and he's saying that I don't think that's the case. It seems like man is able to transcend those and has no known limits. Like, for example, we have not come across a barrier in which we simply say, well, we will never answer this question. We will never be able to develop something. Like just take an example of space and how distant we are from other solar systems. We have yet to conclude that we can never, for example, the speed of light, that we can never break the speed of light. Because if we cannot break the speed of light, it would take, I don't know how many years, long time to even get to the next solar system. And if we can't do that, then we can't visit any other solar systems, right? We have yet to believe that we are stuck. We still think that there may be a way to get a warp drive, so to speak, like in Star Trek, that can go beyond the speed of light. How, and even think about it this way, how would we know that we are stuck? What would we find that would suggest that we are not going anywhere, that we are not going to be able to get past this, that we are limited? How would we know that we were stuck? And he has a different idea here now. It's on page 45. So he talks about faith briefly, but he says he has a different way of describing it. So he says that faith is really, I'm not quoting, I'm just kind of paraphrasing. He says that faith is a chance almost, like it's a belief that we may be able to get past this. So he says that the scientists have faith in nothing, and they only know what they've determined through science, what they've made demonstrable. But faith could also be used to say that no, we could get past this. There would be a way of solving this, right? Think of some math theorem that no one's been able to solve yet. A scientist would say, well, no one's been able to solve it. At what point would you say it could be never solved? So he says that faith, for I guess in this context here, is thinking that we may be able to transcend this or solve this, rather than saying that this simply, we exclude the possibility of an answer to this.